Okay. I call to order this regular meeting of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris this Wednesday, July 20th, 2022. The time is now 7 p.m. Madam Clerk, can we please have a roll call?
Mr. Ravitz?
Here.
Mr. Mancuso?
Here.
Ms. Wilson?
Here.
Ms. Olivo-Moore?
Here.
Mayor Gyorfy?
Here. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Tonight will be led by Mr. Ravitz. All those remote, please mute your phones.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Ravitz. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the June Township Committee meeting. May I please have a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
Recording in progress.
Is there a second?
Second.
I will second.
Sorry, we just have
Second that.
sorry, we had an audio issue. Just make sure it's muted. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Next, we have ordinances for public hearing and final consideration. We have 5 ordinances this evening. Madam Clerk, if you'd please read the title of the first ordinance into the record, and we will then open to the public hearing portion.
Ordinance number 15-22, an ordinance of the Township of Morris, Morris County, New Jersey, establishing salaries and compensation for employees of the Policemen's Benevolent Association, Superior Officers Association, PBA Local 133A of the Township of Morris.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and I apologize to the public. I skipped over the public comment and inquiry on the agenda, so I had to revert and go back to that. It's our first public comment and inquiry portion of the agenda. The second one will be at the end of the meeting. Currently, there are 8 members of the public joining us on Zoom at this time, and we will open for the first public comment focused on agenda items only. Please state your name and address for the record before speaking. Please note that comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. If you have any questions you would like answered, your remaining time to speak will be yielded back for this purpose. Therefore, is there a motion to open our first public comment period for agenda items?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. If there are any members of the public wishing to speak, please raise your digital hands and we will call on you. Mr. Goldberg.
Hi, good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I just opened up the agenda.
Mr. Goldberg, can you just state your name and address for the record, please?
I'm sorry, Lee Goldberg, 10 Arrowhead Road,
Thank
Morris
you.
Township. So I just opened the agenda from the Township website. I don't know if I saw an earlier draft version, but I recall there was something on the agenda about introducing it. Was it a pay-to-play resolution or ordinance?
Correct. Yes. There was an updated agenda this week. It was not in the Friday agenda. We have updated that with a pay-to-play ordinance that will be for introduction this evening. And we can talk more about that when we get to that point of the agenda for you.
Okay, so you're going to be, there'll be a discussion on that later on in the evening?
Correct. Yeah. Mr. Ravitz will be providing an overview and then we will having the public hearing on it next month.
Okay, yeah, and then my other comments or questions on the agenda items is clearly the vote on the Route 24 off-ramp for moving on to the next round of preliminary design phase and the supporting resolution to that. Just want to say, you know, I'd like to, when that vote is taken, if each of our committee members could just go on the record why they're supporting and just provide some clarification as to the rationale for their vote, that would be very helpful. You know, having seen how these type of things move quickly over the years, I'm assuming, I guess we'll get there shortly, that it will pass. I know at the last meeting, I did ask and request to hear from our township professionals on this. I think on the last township committee meeting, Mr. Mancuso said that Mr. Slate and Mr. Quinn were very dialed into this or hooked into this project. I had made a request to perhaps, I was hopeful tonight at this meeting to hear from our township professionals on their insights on the pros and cons of the proposal. Apparently, I don't know if that can be acknowledged, but would be great to still have that request in And I will just, wait till the vote happens later and then use the commentary later to make some additional comments. But thank you for that and appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Goldberg. I see Mr. Kelly has his hand raised.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, Tom Kelly, 11 Arrowhead Road. I would first like to recognize Kathy Wilson and applaud her for her engagement regarding this ramp proposal. I think she has gone above and beyond compared to any other committee member, which was kind of disheartening to say the least. But I just wanted to recognize Kathy and say thank you for your dedication and taking the time out to discuss all the options with us. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Any other members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the first public comment period?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We will now then go back to the ordinances for public hearing and final consideration. The clerk already read the first ordinance in, so I think at this time we'll then open up the public hearing for any comments from the public on ordinance number 15-22. If you do have a comment, please raise your hand and provide your name and address, please. Seeing none,
Motion to close.
may I have a motion to close the public portion, please?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and may I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 15-22?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any items of discussion or comments from the committee? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can we please have a roll call? Danielle, we can't hear you.
Unmute Danielle.
Sorry, I was talking and I was still muted. Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Mancuso,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Olivo-Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. I, Mark Gyorfy, Mayor, declare ordinance number 15-22 approved and adopted and direct the township clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. Madam Clerk, if you could please read the title of the second ordinance into the record, we will then have a public hearing.
Ordinance number 16-22, an ordinance amending ordinance number 06-22, an ordinance of the Township of Morris, County of Morris concerning salaries for non-union personnel to revise compensation/salary range for one position.
At this time, we'll open up the public hearing for any comments from the public. Please state your name and address before speaking. May I have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance number 16-22, please?
I'll move that. Second.
Second.
Okay. If you would like to, if you're a member of public and wish to speak, please raise your hand. Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public portion?
So
So moved.
moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
May I now have a motion to adopt ordinance number 16-22, please?
So
Move
moved.
that.
Moved.
Second.
Danielle, did you get that one? You have 3 to choose from for introducing that one.
Just Bud, then Kathy.
Any items of discussion or questions? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Mancuso,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Olivo-Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. I, Mark Gyorfy, Mayor, declare ordinance number 16-22 approved and adopted and direct the township clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. Madam Clerk, please read the title of ordinance number 17-22 into the record.
Ordinance number 17-22, an ordinance of the Township of Morris, Morris County, New Jersey, establishing salaries and compensation for employees of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, local number 469 of the Township of Morris.
At this time, we'll open up the public hearing for any comments of the public. May I please have a motion to open up the public hearing for 17-22?
I'll move that.
Second.
Okay. If you want to comment, please raise your digital hand on Zoom. Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public portion?
So moved.
Second.
May I now have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
I'll move that.
Second,
Any comments or discussions amongst the committee? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Ravitz,
yes.
Mr. Mancuso,
yes,
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Olivo-Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. I, Mark Gyorfy, Mayor, declare ordinance number 17-22 approved and adopted and direct the township clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the next ordinance into the record for us.
Ordinance number 18-22, an ordinance amending chapter 88 of the Code of the Township of Morris entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Article 21, Section 88-21 and Schedule A, application of subtitle, Title 39 of the revised statutes to certain semi-public or private roads, streets, driveways, and parking areas.
At this time, we'll open up the public hearing for ordinance 18-22. May I please have a motion?
I'll move that. Second.
Okay. Any members of the public wishing to speak on ordinance 18-22? Hearing none, is there a motion to close the public portion?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Okay. May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 18-22?
So moved.
Second.
I believe for this one, we have a minor adjustment
On 19 dash.
on that 19. Okay.
Excellent, sir.
So with that, any items of discussion or questions for 18-22 without any changes? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Mancuso,
yes,
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Olivo-Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. I, Mark Gyorfy, Mayor, declare ordinance number 18-22 approved and adopted and direct the township clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. Madam Clerk, if you could please read the title of the next ordinance into the record, and I believe we have a minor adjustment to this one.
Ordinance number 19-22, an ordinance authorizing the cancellation of property taxes for disabled veterans.
Do we need to have Mr. Quinn, can you explain the?
Yes, Mayor, after further review of the ordinance, it is recommended by the professional staff that in the fifth whereas it says providing that a refund of property taxes be effective, we would like to change the word refund to cancellation of property taxes would be more appropriate and consistent with the title of the ordinance.
And Mr. Mayor, I gave Mr. Quinn an opinion and a township opinion. That's not a substantial alteration, so it can be adopted tonight.
Okay, so then after we have the public hearing, then we'll have a motion to adopt it as amended.
Move to it. Yeah.
Or just, okay. Okay, so first we'll have our,
A motion to amend.
Okay. So first we'll move to the public hearing. If there's any members of the public wishing to speak on 19-22, please raise your hand. Seeing none, may I have a motion to close the public portion?
so moved,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Then should we amend it first?
Yeah, a
Okay.
motion to amend.
So may I have a motion to amend the ordinance as explained by Mr. Quinn, changing refund to cancellation?
I'll move that. Change in wording.
and second,
Okay. Do we need a roll call vote on that or a voice vote?
I guess might still roll call.
Okay, Madam Clerk, can you do a roll call on that? For the
Mr.
amendment?
Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Mancuso,
yes,
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Olivo-Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. Now may I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 19-22 as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Mancuso,
yes,
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Olivo-Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. I, Mark Gyorfy, Mayor, declare ordinance number 19-22 approved as amended and adopted and direct the township clerk to publish the proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. Next, we have an ordinance for introduction. And it's the only ordinance we have for introduction on tonight's agenda. Madam Clerk, if you'd please read the title of this ordinance into the record.
Ordinance number 20-22, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris for public contracting, pay-to-play reform.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now ask Committeeman Ravitz to provide some, an introduction to this, to provide some background on it for the public.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This trust in government and science is at critical levels. And one thing we on the Morris Township Committee can do is to start to restore faith and trust in government. Money has a corrupting influence on politics, and we're going to do something about that. Regardless of our political affiliation, we care and take seriously our commitment to serve the public and to be uncorrupted stewards of the township and taxpayer interests. And to that end, we are introducing a pay-to-play ordinance that sends a message to potential vendors who are looking to do business with the township that we are limiting the amount of money they can give to a candidate, an incumbent official, a township political party, and or a Morris County political party. We find this to be in the best interests of the township and its residents. The proposed ordinance would significantly limit direct political donations as applied to the township. For example, any professional business entity as defined by the within the ordinance who negotiates or contracts with the township would have an annual contribution limit of $300 per township officer, a $500 limit to the a township political party or PAC. The $300 limit is the amount chosen because donations over $300 need to be individually reported on ELEC. In addition, any group or individuals meeting the definition of professional business entity may not annually contribute in the aggregate in excess of $2,500 per year. So that's the introduction for the intent and the purpose of this ordinance. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Ravitz, and thank you for pushing this initiative forward. I do want to just provide some additional context for the public and to Mr. Goldberg too, since you brought the question up. When you look at the text, Mr. Goldberg, you may recognize it as text that was initially introduced at the Township Committee level back in 2009. And I believe former Mayor Grazel helped introduce it with former Committeeman Ron Goldberg back then. Since then, a number of neighboring municipalities have passed ordinances such as this or similar, including Morristown. We thought it was best that Morris Township should modernize and create stricter pay-to-play ordinances locally. While it's governed by the state, municipalities currently in New Jersey can adopt stricter ordinances when it comes to campaign finances, and we felt it was in the best interest of our residents to make our local ordinance, adopt a stricter local ordinance for political contributions. With that, I will say further details and background will be held at the public meeting for next month for the final consideration and adoption. And we'd be able to answer questions then as well. So with that, may I please have a motion to approve ordinance number 20-22 on the first reading and schedule for a second reading at the regular Township Committee meeting on August 17th, 2022.
So moved.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion or questions from the committee? Further discussion or questions?
Yes, Mayor, I have a couple of comments. I agree, this is a very important topic. I fully support having a pay-to-play ordinance of our own. My concern about this ordinance is that I only found out it was going to be on our agenda yesterday afternoon. The language has been changed up until just a couple of hours ago. I'm not good with that process, so I am going to be abstaining on tonight's vote. It has nothing to do with the topic that we're voting on. Like I said, I'm very supportive of that. I want us to have a pay-to-play ordinance, but my bottom line is I need to be very clear on what I'm voting on. And I don't feel that I have sufficient clarity to cast a vote at this time. So I will wait to vote until August. And I will say also that I've expressed to my fellow committee members that it would be my strong preference that we put this off until August, when all of us can be thoroughly informed. Perhaps others spent more time than I had available today to get up to speed on this. But anyway, that is my explanation for my vote, which will be abstain.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Wilson. Any further comments?
I just think it's a testimony to the fact that the hegemony that exists in our township among Republicans and Democrats is being proven by agreeing to this ordinance. We're all on the same page here at the moment.
I appreciate that, Mr. Mancuso. Okay. With that, then, Madam Clerk, may we please have a roll call?
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Mancuso,
Yes,
Ms. Wilson,
Abstain.
Ms. Olivo-Moore,
yes,
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. The public hearing and final consideration and adoption of ordinance number 20-22 will be held at the next regular Township Committee meeting on Wednesday, August 17th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Moving next to resolutions. We have 18 resolutions on tonight's agenda. I will request that we vote for resolutions 152-22 through 168-22 by one motion, and then vote separately on 169-22, which is related to the Route 24 proposal. So with that, may I please have a motion to approve resolutions 152-22 through 168-22 by one motion?
So moved.
second,
All in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Okay, now may I please have a motion to approve those resolutions 152-22 through 168-22?
So moved.
I'll second that. Madam Clerk, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Mancuso,
yes,
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Olivo-Moore,
yes,
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. I will now ask if there's a motion to approve resolution number 169-22. I'd like to have the motion first, and then we can go to committee commentary on it.
So moved.
and seconded,
Okay. All in favor?
aye,
Aye.
So I'll ask for a comment for committee commentary, then we'll have a roll call on it. I will turn over to Mrs. Wilson because I know
Okay.
she's spent a good amount of time with our residents on it. And I certainly appreciate all the time you've personally dedicated to working with our neighbors in the area.
Thank you. And I'd like to say thank you to Tom Kelly for the kind words. We have had many discussions, and we share in common the fact that we've read most of those 500 pages of documents the county has made available. My comments on this, it's a very difficult decision. There's a lot of factors here to consider. I do want to kind of highlight my own thought process for deciding how to vote on this resolution, which, as I said, my background here includes, I've really read those documents the county has put out. They're very informative. And I've attended a lot of public meetings, and I've had a lot of conversations with many different professionals and many different residents. So I am framing my vote here tonight just on the options for dealing with this intersection. That really has been the focus of all the different reports that have been produced and the public meetings that have been conducted over the years. I know there are many other concerns about Route 24, for example, the merge with 287, the fact that there's no entrance anywhere between the Short Hills Mall and Columbia. There's a lot of different other concerns with 24, which I agree with the importance of these concerns. But for me, they're in a separate bucket from the vote on the resolution that's before us tonight. So I have also come to believe that all possible solutions for dealing with this intersection have been identified and pretty extensively vetted. I've heard a lot of people say we need more time to identify more options and think about it. I feel that the The brainstorming process, the work on this has been going on since 2014. There have been, I believe, more than 16 different options for dealing with this intersection identified. And I do not myself feel a need for more time to consider more options. I do want to comment briefly on the Campus Drive option, which I know many of us in Morris Township, including me, have long preferred. Regrettably, after reviewing all the evidence that I could find, I have come to accept that the Campus Drive option is not viable. It won't happen and it doesn't work. The primary reason for that is that DOT adamantly refuses to support this option, primarily due to the distancing problems between entrances and exits on Route 24 that this option would create, among other reasons as well, but that's one of the most significant. So with the Campus Drive off the table, the choice I see is this. I mentioned this before. Is it better for us to leave this intersection alone and do nothing with it? Or is it better to accept the federal monies that may be available and move this proposal forward? At this point, I do think it's worth remembering what we're voting on tonight. We're not voting to enact this proposal. We are voting on whether to approve the county's request to obtain funding to move this project to the next phase, which is developing preliminary engineering plans. Getting from where we are now, which is the initial early concept, to full project completion will involve a number of steps in the process. It'll take many years to complete. Each step in this process does include the opportunity for extensive resident input. And I do have confidence that each step of this process, residents' concerns will be taken very seriously, that every possible option for addressing concerns like cut-through traffic and turnaround problems, which I agree are very important. I believe as part of the process, these concerns will be considered and that every viable option will be considered and developed. And we do have language in our ordinance that confirms this assurance. In addition, and this is important to me, I have confirmed with the county that each step of the process going forward does require its own application for additional funding, and that each of those funding requests does require support resolutions from all 4 towns. So those future steps include final engineering plans, right-of-way acquisition, and construction. Thus, if we're not happy with how the project is progressing, we will have an additional opportunity to vote on whether to continue moving it forward. I consider that to be a very important consideration. In addition, I do believe that this proposal, if completed, would help to alleviate congestion at the intersection. I think it would lead to significant improvements in wait times and turn times, maybe not as extreme as those that were highlighted in the video, but I do believe, based on my research, that there would be significant improvements on those turn times. A big concern I have about this project, which I have expressed before, this proposal does nothing to eliminate the root of the problem, which is there's too many cars on the road. How much more development can Park Avenue take? We need to find ways to reduce the number of cars, and we need to find ways to encourage alternative means of travel, like walking, carpooling, shuttles, and maybe there's some other ideas out there. Dealing with the root of the problem requires 2 things. Number one, the towns have to talk to each other. We have to communicate with each other, and there has to be a willingness to engage in some out-of-the-box thinking. I've been advocating the need for regional collaboration, especially on transportation issues, for years. And this situation has provided an opportunity to open that door and make that happen. So I'm very happy about the language we have in the resolution regarding the commitment we have garnered from the county and the surrounding towns to participate in biannual meetings where the towns and the counties will work together to find ways to address our shared transportation concerns. And it's funny, just 2 days ago, I came across a quote that really highlights what my own belief. The quote is, "The key to sustainable change is getting out of our individual silos and finding ways to work together for the common good." So coming back to the choice I see for tonight, is it better to leave this intersection alone and do nothing with it? Or is it better to support taking federal monies that may be available and move the proposal to its next phase? While this situation is far from perfect, and for me, this is one of the most difficult votes I've ever had to make, after carefully weighing all the advantages and disadvantages on both sides of this choice, I believe the benefits of moving this proposal to the next phase, developing the preliminary engineering plans, outweigh the benefits of turning our back on this possibility and taking no further action at this intersection. So for all of these reasons, my vote on this resolution is going to be yes.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Wilson. Any other members of the committee who would like to speak about this?
Sure, I can go next.
Okay, Ms. Olivo-Moore.
So I have been reviewing the materials provided by the county and materials provided by the state back in 2020. And as I understand it, the purpose of this project is to correct a deficit in starting from the off-ramp of 24, 24 eastbound off-ramp that goes on to Columbia Turnpike westbound, and the amount of Columbia Turnpike there is simply not long enough. It's only 650 feet. This is less than half of the space that is required. And if we were going to build that now, we would not build it like that. It does not meet state standards for safety. And for me, safety trumps every other consideration. That doesn't mean that the other considerations aren't important. The residents who have talked to us at previous meetings have spoken passionately about their concerns for their neighborhood and for cut through traffic and for various other concerns they have. And I hear that, and I think we should definitely look into that and do something about those concerns. But the safety concern on Columbia Turnpike and the traffic that backs up onto 24 that causes more safety problems on 24, for the safety concern, I have to vote yes on this stage.
Thank you, Ms. Olivo-Moore.
I would like to say something, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Mr. Mancuso.
Very, very impressed with the knowledge, the range of knowledge of Ms. Wilson in presenting the options as to what are what's happening there. I couldn't agree with her more and realize that the $25 million is money that is not going into any change right now, but it is giving us the ability to sit with our partners in the legislature or at the county level. We will have oversight as a township committee with our experts and the residents of the township as we go on with this situation. So I feel that it's the right thing to do at this particular time, and I don't think it should be postponed at all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mancuso. Mr. Ravitz, did you have any comments?
Yes, I certainly want to echo what Deputy Mayor Wilson and Tara Olivo-Moore and Peter Mancuso has said. I absolutely concur, and I think that certainly Deputy Mayor Wilson covered a lot of areas, but I think I owe it to the public to give them my reasoning why I'm going to vote the way I'm going to vote tonight. And I kind of alluded to this, or maybe actually have stated it last month. First and foremost, I do want to thank all the residents, no matter what town you lived in, who came and asked questions last month, and certainly all those residents who have reached out to, township committee members via the email with their comments. I listened to the presentation by the county engineer, Chris Viss, and he did a great job. I have some serious concerns with this proposal, and I don't know if what was presented by the county engineer is actually going to come to fruition in terms of waiting times and traffic reduction. I think Ms. Wilson had said it very well when she said, we haven't seen the last of the development along Park Avenue, and so I think the actual problem is going to get worse before it gets better. So what we have is a questionable solution to a problem, but we have two choices at this point. We can do nothing, or we can utilize the money that's available to us to do something. And the money that's available to us may not be available down the road, and this project is only going to get more expensive. I don't believe it solves the problems, but I'm going to agree wholeheartedly with Ms. Olivo-Moore that safety is a primary concern of mine. So if we don't do anything and we let everything sit as is, and we kick the can down the road, I think what we're asking for is potential problems with safety. And if there, God forbid, is a fatality or serious injuries that happen on the Route 24 East off ramp to try to get over to that left lane, I think that we would all, and I don't believe kicking the can to some future committee is the right thing to do. Is it a great solution? No, but the time for the great solution was when the road was being built, and now we don't have a lot of great alternatives. Again, as Ms. Wilson pointed out, there's a lot of considerations. There is a mitigating factor that as we move this project through various phases, that resident participation will not be ignored. I think that there's a lot of input that has yet to be really explored fully at this point. And I think that in the coming months and years, as this project is fleshed out, I think that we're going to see a lot more input and some changes to the design to do basically the best we can do, given the fact that this area is fully developed. So keeping in mind safety, and that this is only moving a project along to a next phase, and that resident input is still a serious consideration for the county. I think that doing something is better than doing nothing, and I'm going to vote yes for that reason.
Thank you, Mr. Ravitz. From my own perspective, I support this resolution so that the county, as we've talked about this already, can start beginning to address the traffic issues that our residents have been plagued with for years. While, like we said, it's not perfect, leaving this problem for future governing bodies to grapple with would be, in my opinion, a disservice to our community. The county has made it clear that their proposal will be adjusted as engineering work progresses, and has committed to working with the township and our residents to address their concerns. We specifically highlighted those concerns in this resolution, which has been not only being shared with the county, but also our neighboring towns. I do truly appreciate the engagement from our neighbors who live across the street from the proposed ramp, which is why we've been pushing for the inclusion of a median and other traffic improvements to the proposal, which will be addressed as the county moves forward with the engineering work. And we'll be here to be engaged with you every step of the way, and be engaged with the county every step of the way. This process is going to take years, and we have to be patient but determined to make sure we have the best outcome for our residents. I'd also, like I said, just wanted to highlight, we have adjusted this resolution. It's not it's not just a boilerplate resolution that the other towns have passed. We did modify it so that it addresses Morris Township's concerns specifically. And I appreciate that we were able to do that for this resolution tonight. And I will again commend Committeewoman Wilson, Deputy Mayor Wilson, who's been working on this for years. I know Mr. Mancuso has also been involved for years as well. This has been a long project that's not going to end anytime soon. And we will be here and prepared to work with the county and our residents to make sure we have the best possible outcome that we can have.
I'd like to thank you also for your outreach to the county and the other towns that supported putting the language in our resolution. Thank you.
All right, with that, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Mancuso,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Olivo-Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. We now have 5 items on the consent calendar this evening. I'm going to recuse myself due to my role in the fire department, and I will ask Deputy Mayor Wilson to call for a motion.
Can I have a motion to approve all items on the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Back to you, Mayor. That was quick.
We have received reports from Finance, Fire, Joint Court, and Police for May 2022 for our consideration. And we have received reports from the Library and Tax Collector for June 2022. May I please have a motion to approve the monthly reports?
I'll move that.
So moved, sir.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Claims for payment. The total amount of bills and vouchers for this meeting is $10,400,849.71. As a reminder, we are also the tax collector for the school district, the library, and the county of Morris. May I please have a motion to approve the list of bills and vouchers?
I will
I'll
make
move
that
that.
motion, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Mancuso,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Olivo-Moore,
Yes.
Mayor
Yes.
Gyorfy. Oh,
Yeah, we have a bit of a delay here in town hall, so sorry about that. Okay, we'll now move to standing committee reports and general commentary from the Township Committee. I will turn it over to Ms. Olivo-Moore.
To unmute myself.
we
Okay,
go.
there we go. All right, thank you. So my committees are the sewer and the DPW. They continue to function well. The garbage is picked up, the recycling is picked up, and the sewer continues to flow. Congratulations today to Clay Benninghouse on his promotion to police lieutenant. And congratulations also to Diego Pinheiro on his promotion to police sergeant. Congratulations also to the new members of the Board of Adjustment and the Swim Pool Board. Recently, there have been many events of national importance that will have deep and lasting impacts on the local level, and I would like to talk about those tonight, but instead I need to make an announcement. I am moving to Massachusetts in the very near future. And so I will be resigning from the Township Committee in the next few days. My house is currently on the market. I am making this move because my husband's business is taking us to Massachusetts. He is starting a manufacturing company that makes specialty chemicals. Those chemicals used to be made by Russian firms and bought by American firms, but instead they are now going to be made in America by American workers. And I am so sad to leave here after 20 years in New Jersey and 18 years in the Morris Township community. I'm really going to miss it here. This community is a one-of-a-kind community, and there is just nothing like this anywhere else that I have been. And so tonight I announce my resignation, and I will be handing that in to the township clerk in the next couple of days. I want to thank Mayor Gyorfy, who asked me to run with him last year and has been such a mentor to me. Thank you to Kathy Wilson, who has been such a mentor to me. Thank you to Bud Ravitz and Peter Mancuso, who have been so encouraging to me. Thank you to Tim Quinn for your encouragement. Thank you to all of the township staff who are so dedicated to making this town run so well for all our residents. I will truly miss you all, and I will be back to visit. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara, for all of your work in public service for Morris Township. It has been a pleasure serving with you. It has been a pleasure running for office with you. It was a pleasure even when we were opponents in a primary a long time ago. Your work has been tremendous on the committee, especially in a time where we've had a global pandemic. Having someone with a healthcare provider's perspective, being our vice chair of our Board of Health, having your knowledge of being a longtime resident here, Morris Township will miss out on having you serve. And I'm a little upset too, because you were just elected to 3 years, and while your move will be, faster or has come sooner than I think anyone would have hoped, we are so fortunate to have had you for the time we had. And quite frankly, family comes first. And this is more important than serving on the township right now. So we wish you the best of luck to you and Matt and your whole family in the transition. We appreciate everything you've done for us in the short amount of time that you have been on the committee. And we will certainly recognize you in the near future more appropriately. So we're looking forward to that. But with that, Deputy Mayor Wilson, would you like to say a word?
Sure, I would. Tara, I can't tell you, it's been such a joy getting to know you. I like what you said about one of a kind. You're one of a kind. I have never met anyone so skilled at connecting archaeology and ancient history with present events. Your thought process is really interesting and unique. So I've learned a lot from, and I've thoroughly enjoyed working with you. And you've done such a fabulous job. We're really going to miss you. And I wish you all the best, you and your family all the best in the days ahead. So thank you.
Thank you.
Peter or Bud, did you want to?
Yeah, I'll go. Wow. I'm sad to see you go, but I'm happy for you. I've gotten to know you over these last number of months. I find you to be a deep thinker, someone who can challenge me in my thoughts. And I know you and I have gotten into some great conversations offline, and I just really love, hanging out with you. And it's, I'm going to miss that a lot. I wish you the most success, you and your husband, in the next phase of your lives. I will say that, well, I'm just at a loss for words. Our loss is certainly Massachusetts's gain. And I would hope that you stay engaged in politics up in Massachusetts, because I think you have a lot to offer any town where you reside. So please stay engaged, stay informed, and keep up the good work. And we're going to miss you.
Thank you, Bud. I'm going to miss you too.
Mr. Mancuso?
Thank you, sir. Tara, we have become friends in the short period of time you've been here. You have, in 21 years that I have been on the committee, you are a quick study. You have learned, understood. You keep politics out of our decisions. You're just a wonderful person to be with. I'm very, very proud to have made your acquaintance and to be friendly with you. That's the bottom line of the entire thing. And I agree with all the other statements that the committee has made. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Mancuso.
God bless you too.
We look forward to your visits.
Yeah, so absolutely. And like I said, we'll work with you, Tara. We will talk about you further at a future meeting to provide you more adequate recognition. Until then, we always appreciate working with you. So with that, best of luck with everything. We're here if you need us. But for now, we'll move on to the next round of reports and comments. Any member of the committee wishing to go next?
I would, sir.
All right, Mr. Mancuso.
I would like to, as was mentioned before, speak of the promotion of Sergeant Ben House to lieutenant and Detective Diego Pinero to sergeant. Once again, this is the best thing that happens to us in our police department. We have trained all our people so well and so diligently and with such intensity that we can have people move up in the ranks without any difficulty whatsoever. So I'm very, very proud of both of our gentlemen, plus the rest of our force. We had two situations go on over the past couple of weeks or so. We've had the walkout of Chief Mark DiCarlo. We gave him all our best wishes, and his family and many, many other dignitaries and police people from around the area were here. And also we had the swearing in of Chief Ravitz. I just think we are so blessed to have had these people, and same thing as I've spoken about with the people who were just promoted. Now, I'm proud, I'm honored. This is what I love to call small town America. Our 12-year-old Morristown American Little League, who won the 11-year-old state championship last year, brought the first round of the district playoffs to Ginty Field. In the round robin tournament, of which there were 8 teams, you had to lose 2 to be out. Well, we lost 1 and we played the final game against Madison, and we won that handily, which meant we had to play again a week ago last Sunday. And to say they came back from the dead twice is an understatement. They were behind by 3 runs in the 6th inning, 7-inning games. They tied it up. Madison scored 3 runs in the 7th inning. We scored 4 runs to win the district championship. Now, that's the good news. The not so good news is the fact that we went up to Sparta this past weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and 4 teams invited into this next step of the regionals. And unfortunately, we lost to Sparta on Saturday, 3-2, and on Sunday, 11-6. But they played their hearts out, and I could not be more proud of them. So enough said on that. I hope that at some juncture, Mr. Mayor, that we will have an appropriate recognition of them. Okay.
Absolutely.
And then one piece of bad news. Dr. Barry Zittimer, my friend for 30 years, passed away today. He had been sick for many, many years. He was a trooper and as strong as any person could be. And he left the best of memories and a wonderful family. So my condolences. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mancuso. My condolences as well. Mr. Ravitz, would you like to go next?
Sure. Excuse me. My condolences on the loss of your friend, Peter. All right. My committee reports, I'll start with Parks and Rec. I would just want to say to keep up with the news and information related to Morris Township. I encourage everybody to sign up for the Municipal Messenger. It's an email system. It's an invaluable tool to receive important information from the municipality. Also, just want to say that Morris Township residents are invited to free summer concerts and outdoor movies at Ginty Field on Tuesday evenings. Please visit the Parks and Rec webpage for dates and times for all the summer events. Just want to also mention that we just added a public information session to our calendar, and which will be followed by an outdoor movie night at Collinsville Park on August 10th. I think Mr. Quinn, is that on the books now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. At Collinsville Playground, we're going to have some fun and games, and then we're going to have a movie night.
Okay. And the information session is an opportunity for area residents to have input into the renovation of the park, which will also include Tucker Field, and our newly hired parks consultant, I think, will be there to take the resident input. Lastly, just there are numerous township-wide volunteer and scout project opportunities. It's a great way to get involved and make a difference. So please inquire at Parks and Rec for a full list of projects. And on the fire, we did order our new fire apparatus to replace an aging ladder truck, which will help the fire department streamline their service to the town. Pardon me. And for my public commentary tonight, I don't have water with me, excuse me. I just want to wish everybody a good evening and thank you all for your participation in our local community government. National politics may get all the spotlight, but what we do here locally that has the biggest economic and quality of life impact on our lives. And I do want to congratulate all the officers who have gotten their promotion. I was pleased to be there for the Captain Bob Shears promotion, being promoted to the rank of Chief of Police for the township. I was delighted to attend, his swearing-in ceremony, and wish him every success as he puts his own indelible stamp on the department. Moving along, there's a new, hang on, just in. There's a new 3-digit phone number in the United States that we all need to memorize. It's 988. It's not fully rolled out yet, and it's not quite what it'll eventually become, but it is nonetheless important because it will save a lot of lives. Unlike 911, 988 will not be for police emergencies. Rather, it will be for mental health crises. Instead of being connected to a police operator, the caller will be connected to a mental health counselor. Ultimately, it will be more than just suicide prevention. Other services will be added over time, and there are plans for mobile care units to arrive at someone's residence rather than an armed officer who is not as well trained for such situations. And this is a good thing, and it's long overdue. It'll lighten the load of law enforcement and put those potential emergencies into the hands of well-trained counselors. The $50 million to start the program. On another note, a former Secretary of Education recently advocated for the abolishment of the Department of Education. I don't understand why the war on education. More often than not, educated minds are critical thinkers, and educated minds ask questions. And could it be that pointed questions might lead to discomfort by those who don't want to answer or want to define policy rhetoric or decisions? America's late, great poet laureate, Maya Angelou, said, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time." Beware, what one might think is empty rhetoric is no way empty. It's just marketing. It's a marketing test to see how it plays with certain people. I encourage people not to sit. This is a new thought now. I encourage people not to sit in idling cars in a parking lot. It negatively impacts the environment, and turning the engine off saves expensive fuel and doesn't pollute. I also encourage homeowners to dispose of their gas-powered mowers, trimmers, and leaf blowers in favor of newer battery-operated ones. I urge homeowners to encourage their landscapers to do the same. It's going to take every little bit that we can do to help battle climate change. We've only got this one world, and we should be good stewards of it. And I end, as I always do, with this. New restrictive laws in many states seek to discriminate or penalize certain demographic segments of our population. Let's keep in mind that no one is looking for special treatment, but rather equal protections under the law. And equal protections for all of us does not infringe upon or diminish the rights of any of us. We, the people, the voters, must do whatever we can, while with whatever we have, for as long as we can, to ensure that this doesn't continue to happen. Targeting others is not the way that any of us should make ourselves feel better about our own lives. Also, let's not marginalize the people who have political or economic power as some of us might now enjoy. Rather, let's face up to and stand up to those who continue to profit from our division. Such profiteers are the source of the nation's problems. We have more in common than should ever divide us, but we have to relearn how to talk with each other and not at each other. Amplifying misinformation and hateful rhetoric plays right into the hands of America's enemies. Mr. Mayor, I'll yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Ravitz. Deputy Mayor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. I have two standing committee reports, environment and transportation. So on the environment, as always, many initiatives in the works. I'm going to highlight just two tonight. One is energy aggregation. I encourage everybody to mark your calendar for September 8th at 7 p.m. That is when our Environmental Commission will be hosting a public information session on energy aggregation. Energy aggregation is a way of consolidating the purchasing power of our residents to purchase electricity at a lower cost while also expanding access to green energy sources. Our REC has been working on this initiative and researching it for a long time. This meeting, which coincides with their regular September meeting time, will be a good opportunity to understand what energy aggregation is, how it works, and why it's important. I encourage our township committee members to plan to either attend this meeting in person or to watch it on video, as it will provide important background information should we decide to proceed with this opportunity in our own town in the future. The second initiative I want to highlight is our Do Not Plant resolution. So you may remember that this past April, at the request of our Environmental Commission, this governing body passed a Do Not Plant resolution, which encourages but does not mandate that everyone in our town refrain from planting invasive species and work instead to substitute native plants whenever possible. As the governing body liaison, I am now working with EC members to spread the word and do outreach with our community. We've started by sending letters to property managers of various condos developments in Morris Township. We'll follow that up with calls and meetings and then begin outreach to other groups as well. We've also notified the chairs of our land use boards about this resolution and have requested that the township's preference to eliminate invasive plants from landscaping plans be incorporated as a consideration as these boards work to make decisions on land use applications. I see this as an important initiative for our community. I'm really proud of the work our EC has done on it so far and will no doubt continue to do in the future as our outreach continues. On transportation, I'm going to highlight just one upcoming event. On this Friday, July 22nd at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, a few members of the Transportation Advisory Committee are going to do a walk audit of the Normandy Parkway Columbia Turnpike intersection. Our purpose is to consider possibilities for making that intersection safer for all users, especially pedestrians. I'm very happy that Chris Vitz, Morris County's engineer, has agreed to join us for this audit. This intersection is under the county's jurisdiction, and his technical expertise will be invaluable as we work to understand improvement possibilities. A representative of our HPC Historic Preservation Commission will also be joining us, and anyone who's interested is welcome to join us as well. On a related note, doing a walk audit is an activity that can, and we hope will, earn us points towards Sustainable Jersey certification. I personally love the idea of walk audits. Meeting in person on a site is a great way to educate, engage, and help people understand possibilities as well as constraints. I anticipate that our transportation committee will be doing walk audits on other sites in the future. So we'll keep you posted on that. I also wanted to comment briefly on our new, our Senior Citizens Advisory Committee. This newly formed committee held its third meeting of the year this past Monday, July 18th. I think Peter would agree that we have a very active and engaged group that's working hard to accomplish its two main goals for the year. One is to develop and administer a needs survey, and another is to begin to create a go-to source of information for all things seniors in Morris Township for on the web page. These are two big projects. They're progressing well, thanks to the extra efforts of the committee members. Their next meeting will be September 13th at 3 o'clock. It is TBD whether it will be in person or hybrid or virtual. We'll see how that goes. I do encourage anyone who's interested. I know we had a lot of interest in the beginning when we were setting this up. If there's anyone who's interested in following the work of this committee and possibly contributing suggestions of your own, I encourage you to sign up on the township's website. You can get the meeting dates sent to you. You can get the agenda sent to your email, and you can do all of that from the notifications tab of the homepage. The quick other comments. I'm very glad to see that we have worked out an agreement with Grow It Green to host the Winter Farmers Market at Convent Station again this coming winter. I did read that correctly, right, Mr. Quinn?
That is correct. And
Okay.
it's actually going to be a little longer this winter. We're going to have a long winter because we're going to go through April.
Oh, we are. Okay, great. I missed that part. I have to say that was a really great market, and it's definitely worth checking it out if you missed it last year. So I'm really glad we're doing that again. I wanted to congratulate many of our police staff on their promotions. Like Peter was saying, we did have a really nice special meeting on July 6th. We honored Mark DiCarlo on his retirement, and we congratulated our new chief, Bob Shearer. So congratulations to both of them. And I agree, we're very lucky to have such good people and competent staff. Congratulations also to Sergeant Benninghouse on his promotion to lieutenant, and to Detective Diego Pinero on his promotion to sergeant. And also thanks again to Tara for being with us. I'll really miss you a lot and wish you all the best. So that's it for me, Mayor. Back to you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Wilson. For my standing committee reports, for the legislation standing committee, I'll report that Mr. Ravitz and I had worked on drafting the resolution with input from other members of the committee for the Route 24 proposal, which was passed earlier this evening. And we also worked together with the help of our professionals on the pay-to-play ordinance that was introduced earlier this evening. So we are working on that. In terms of the government liaison aspect of the standing committee, we have been working to further advance the Senate bill for the 21-day notice requirement. So we're still working on that. As many may know, there's a bit of a summer hiatus in Trenton, but we are preparing for the fall to further advocate and have already started reaching out to other municipalities, sending our sample resolution, and we'll be further encouraging them to not only pass it, but also be encouraging outreach to assembly members to introduce the bill in the state assembly. For communications, I'm happy to report that our summer newsletter will be going out soon. For those who may remember, the summer newsletter provides some updated information on what's happening in the township, along with what's coming up further down the road this year. And it also has very helpful tips on recycling and recycling best practices, which is very important for us. So I encourage all of our residents to read that when it comes in the mail. Lastly, for committee reports for engineering, the work as part of the Sherman Avenue reconstruction project continues. I just saw photos earlier today that the sidewalks have started to be installed on Sherman Avenue, which is a big step forward. Further traffic calming measures will be installed on that road as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. For general committee commentary, I'm looking forward to our movie nights, especially in Collinsville. I know it's the first one we're having in a while there. I look forward to being there and working with the community to get the word out on that. And as Mr. Ravitz stated, I'm looking forward to meeting with our consultant too for the redesign of the Collinsville playground. One thing I did forget to mention as part of government liaison, now that we brought up Collinsville, thanks to Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill, through an application that Mr. Quinn and I worked on, we were the House Appropriations Committee, which is the committee of jurisdiction for the general government funding each year, did include Collinsville Playground in their list of community projects through Mikey Sherrill's request for an additional $500,000. So we are very excited about that and optimistic and keeping our fingers crossed that the House will not only pass the total appropriations bill, but will actually produce a final bill with the Senate and fund the government, and then provide some well-deserved community funding for Collinsville to further appropriate this project. As we said for the past number of years, it's been really important for us to find sources of funding outside of Morris Township and to fight hard to bring taxpayer dollars back to Morris Township, whether it's to the state or federal government. This is a huge opportunity for us. It would bring our total funding from the federal government for this project to over $1 million. And we will continue to work with the Congresswoman's office to make that happen.
Can I ask you one question?
Sure.
I'm on the information session on August 10th at Collinsville for the.
That's not the information session. That's just a movie night.
Oh,
Oh,
there's-
I thought it was the information session. Also,
movie night.
before the movie.
There will be some up there. They
Okay.
will be there, but it's not going to be there's going to be a formal information session to get information for the input on the project, but it'll be more about explaining.
That's like signups and
It's
stuff.
going to be more about explaining
Okay.
what the project is and the timeframes, that kind of thing.
on August 10th.
Right, and then it's going to be followed with music, and then at about 8 o'clock, we're going to have a movie night there.
Okay.
Okay.
Are there other
Thank you.
opportunities for
Oh, yeah,
as part of the process?
That will be part of the explaining on the 10th.
Okay.
So,
All right,
yeah.
good.
it's just more like I will call it an overview of what's
Yeah.
going to take place for this project and how it will commence.
Yeah,
Great.
there will be a number of opportunities for residents and community leaders to be involved throughout the fall, I believe, and the consultant will be managing that. It's going to be very thorough, so we're very excited about that.
That's great.
Okay, those are my reports for this evening. And I'll just reiterate, thank you, Tara, for everything you've done for the township. It's been a pleasure serving with you. It's been an honor running with you as candidates. I think we've all learned something from serving with you. And I don't know if remember if it was Peter or Bud who said this, but you always had the township's interests paramount in your mind. And it was always great to have your perspective on certain things. Sometimes having an outside perspective is really important. And you having been the newest member of the committee, you taught us a few things, which we really appreciate. So thank you for doing that and best of luck. I will now move to the final commentary period. There's currently 13 members of the public on our Zoom call. Please state your name and address for the record before speaking. Please note that comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. If you have questions you would like answered, your remaining time to speak will be yielded back for this purpose. Is there a motion to open the second public comment period?
I'll move that,
Move.
Mayor.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, please raise your hand and state your name and address. Mr. Kelly's hand is first, so I will recognize Mr. Kelly.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Tom Kelly, 11 Arrowhead Road. I just want to quote you, Mayor Gyorfy, from back in January. You at your swearing in, you said, "I'd like to help bring common sense solutions to Morris Township's biggest challenges." I think this ramp issue is the biggest challenge. It's been a challenge for all these years, and I'm a little disappointed with the committee's vote to move the proposal forward, considering their own data says that this will be useless in 5 years. So everyone's talking about kicking the can down the road. We're essentially doing that and wasting $25 million. So that is just, in my opinion, that's terrible. I haven't been to one meeting where somebody has come forward saying this is a great idea, except for the outside towns who are probably laughing right now, saying we actually got them to do it. We receive all the impact of it. They all sit there saying, yeah, we're in favor. yet not one of them has any impact of this project. We look like we were taken advantage of, almost look like a patsy. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. I poked holes in everything. Everyone's quoting safety, safety, safety. I poked holes through Oprah requests in all those reports that the DOT used. And maybe a handful of those accidents that they said 61 were in that intersection, maybe a handful were due to the crossover. We're not gonna be able to change the people who don't pay attention and follow too closely. So I'm just expressing my opinions. I'm disappointed. I am happy that there is still input being able to be given on our residents, but just very disappointed in the whole process when their own study says it's 5 years and then it's not doing anything considering the overdevelopment and the continued further development, which you have quoted here. So it's just frustrated and disappointed. And I'm going to quote Kathy Wilson's Maya Angelou quote from January as well. People will forget what you said. They'll forget, but they will never forget how you made them feel. I feel extremely disappointed. That is all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Mr. Janata.
This is Siva Janata, 77 Hillcrest. And first I want to thank, we had an incident last couple of weeks ago at my home. A tree branch fell down and knocked down my neighbor's power lines. I'm thankful for the police department, fire department, including our Mayor Gyorfy for being there, and JCP&L for putting the line back. It happened 8 in the evening and it finished before midnight. There was minimal damage done, thankfully, but because of all the professional help that was done, it was the job was done quickly. And also, thank you, committee members, for passing the resolution for Route 24. Yes, it's not perfect, and it's definitely not. It's open to criticism, but it's a first step among many, and hopefully we'll be able to mitigate any safety concerns. And on a personal note, I'm sorry to hear about Dr. Zittermer's passing because he was my parents' physician many years ago, and I'm sorry to hear about that. And finally, we're going to miss Tara greatly. Thank you, Tara, for the short time you were on the committee. You've done a great job. You might be short in stature, but whoever replaces you have huge shoes to fill. And sure, visit us as much as you can. And thank you for being on this committee. And whatever you did, even before that, I mean, you were in the health department during a very difficult time during COVID. Thank you for that. So
Thank you, Mr. Janata, and I'm certainly glad that everyone was okay and no one was hurt during the incident a few weeks ago between you and your neighbor's house. So I'm happy everyone's okay. Thanks for your comments. I will recognize Mr. Quillen.
Thank you. I just, so this is George Quillen, 7 Bishop Court. I just wanted to join in the chorus, thanking Tara for all her service to our community. It's really a sad day that she's leaving our town and leaving the Township Committee. I met Tara in 2018. We did some canvassing together and I thought she is really a natural. She can talk to anyone. She's always upbeat, but she's never artificial, and she always has something interesting to say. She's a very thoughtful person, and as Bud was saying, an educated mind really makes a difference, and it's important that we can all talk to one another, and Tara exemplifies both of those things. So we're really going to miss you, Tara. Thank you so much.
Thank you, George. That was so sweet. I am going to miss all of you so much too.
Okay, seeing no further hands raised, is there a motion to close the public? Up, Mr. Goldberg.
Thank you, Lee Goldberg, 10 Arrowhead Road. First of all, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the additional information on the pay-to-play ordinance and bringing that back forward and refreshing minds on the, I guess, sort of initiative 12, 13 years ago. Time flies, but glad to see, that we're taking action on that and it'll be moving forward. So I appreciate you bringing that important initiative to the forefront and taking action on it. Tara, as well, I'd like to thank you for your service on the Township Committee on behalf of all the residents of Morris Township. That goes without saying to the rest of the Township Committee as well. We appreciate you all. We know that's a heavy lift and it takes a lot of time and attention. So there's a grateful community out here who does appreciate it. And Tara, wish you the best in future endeavors and all the best of good health and fortune in transitioning up to Massachusetts. It's been a pleasure from a public's perspective and just participation perspective, having you on the committee, and appreciate your thought processes on a lot of the important issues that you guys tackle. So I appreciate that. Kathy, I appreciate your description and framing for the vote on the ramp 24 exit ramp, on what we were actually, or what this Township Committee was voting on tonight, and the processes and the multiple rounds that still lie ahead of us. So that was very helpful and instructive. And also for the update on the winter market. And glad to hear that'll be extended because that's sure to please many. It was a big success and looking forward to having that back. I do have one administrative question. I know some of my neighbors were attempting to email the Township Committee or Mayor Gyorfy on the Route 24 ramp. I did come to learn earlier in the week that the township was having some email issues. I'm just curious, are emails functioning as expected right now with the Township Committee, or is email down? I'm just curious from a communications perspective with the public.
Our server is still down and we're hoping to have it up and running within 24 hours.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you very much. So I guess, hopefully the emails that the residents wanted to send got through somehow, some way, and that they were able to share those thoughts and concerns. My final comments will just be on the Route 24 ramp. I echo the comments of Mr. Kelly. It is disappointing. I know it's a tough issue that's been around for a real long time. It's called the preferred plan. I'm not really sure, who it's preferred by. That's never really been answered to me, but, to see, votes tonight that were cast on this based on things like safety as a primary concern, or as Mr. Ravitz even said last month, speculative turn ratio times that may or may not pan out. And to see that the predicate for votes tonight on this, when there is no real safety issue, the traffic data doesn't support it. So, this is already one of the failed most worst intersections in the county. And in my opinion, I don't think, even, motioning that we are supporting this resolution to move forward makes sense, because it really does nothing to solve the problem. And if safety and other, more greater good, less wait times were of interest, regionally planning, to Kathy's point, maybe someone, maybe you'll open up communication channels. Maybe this 25 million would be better spent intersection onto 287 North, which is backed up on a daily basis. And I'm sure there's lots more injuries and accidents there, to the point where they actually have to station an officer there in the morning, a state trooper often. So I just don't think, the vote made any sense to me. It is disappointing, and would have liked to seen some, further clarifications for the rationale behind the vote. That, in my opinion, again, that'll be my last comment. It's doing nothing to solve the problem, only make it worse. And thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Goldberg.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. I appreciate it.
Seeing no further hands raised, is there a motion to close public comment?
I'll
So
move
moved.
that. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, with no further agenda items, adjournment's now in order. We'll next convene on Wednesday, August 17th, 2022 at 7 p.m. and 5 p.m. for closed session here at the Municipal Building, 50 Woodland Avenue via Zoom. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.